Before I start, myself and my friend Miriam did 2 drawings for us tonight, for all of you, and they're up on the wall, next to Naomi's Geek Mania comics. And I'm dedicating it to the night, so if any of you feel a strong attraction, please come to me afterwards and we'll just negotiate and I'll get it to you. Before Naomi and I began, we sort of clustered in sort of a little family around Leonard. And I'd like to start our little thing with an invocation by Brother Dave M. Div from Harvard Disco. And he will bring down the Ika squid in the sky for us before we begin.
Actually, I don't think I really have to invoke anything because it's already here. I think you all can sense the ethereal beings swooping around over our heads and shedding their beneficences upon us. And so I'd just like to read something really quick. I know beneficence is not really a word, but okay, it's amazing what idiots people are. They really just let life just pass them by, always planning ahead for some brief moment in the sun, somewhere down the road, never enjoying the present. I mean, what people have to realize is that eternity and infinity is all here and now. They just have to open up their eyes and see it. I mean, for all the self-conscious activity that goes on in the so-called brains of most of these mediocritons, they might as well be dead. In fact, the rest of us would probably be much better off without them. And the point is that all these kids are so completely out of touch with what's happening, not only in our world, but even in their own neighborhoods and their own lives. I mean, people are so concerned about looking good in the eyes of their so-called peers and making an impression on whoever is considered to be a big shot. I mean, somebody who might someday be able to get them a job or whatever, and keeping their nose buried in books, not because they're really interested in them, or God forbid passionate about them, but because they want to get a good grade or want to show off in their sections by shooting off their mouth about something they really don't give a damn about or that they care about only as far as can get them something else, like a Fulbright to Germany or a bloody roads or whatever, or because they think they're visiting Professor Heinrich on Trappendam or whoever might be pleased with them for being such clever, hardworking, good little pupils. And the real point of it, beyond all that, is that there's such a realm of reality that goes so far beyond this ordinary, boring, old, humdrum existence these poor slobs call their lives. I mean, if people are only halfway open to the experience, they would realize that there is such an amazing, magical realm beyond this crummy, mundane sphere of existence. I mean, everything from out-of-body experiences to precognition to mind reading and all that, all of which I can tell you really does exist no matter how they try to rationalize it, and also the whole spiritual realm with higher beings we can communicate with and communicate with contact and all the problems that affect all of us. And the problem is that people are just so numb from the neck up. I mean, they watch so much TV their whole lives, they can't think of a witch without thinking of Samantha Stevens or whatever. But when they think of God, they think of George Burns. And a hero to them is some idiot with a gun and big muscles whose only function is to shoot whatever little black kid they have on the show that week who's causing all the trouble. I mean, I don't want to get into politics too much, but TV would have you think that if you're black, the only choice you have is between being some buffoon like George Jefferson or whichever one they came out with this year, or else Bill Cosby, who's such a totally plastic bland guy who only cares, I guess, about making money and providing a boring middle-class subsistence for his boring little family. So it's no wonder that one of them goes out and stars in some stupid movie, the whole point of which is only to show her tits. I mean, they're great tits and all that, but that doesn't mean that they're worth making a multi-million-dollar Hollywood movie about them. I mean, give me $1 million and I promise you I will change the world. I mean, I'll just blow people's minds away with things they never thought of before and never could if all they ever did was watch TV and listen to Manavani or some crap like that. Well, sure, I mean, you can go on and on about the whole thing, whether it's blacks or Indians or Hispanics or women or whatever, and I really don't want to get into all that because that's just a trap anyway. I mean, this whole political neo-Marxist shtick, which just consists of a bunch of insecure, self-righteous morons trying to prove their moral superiority and assuage their guilty consciences by competing with each other to prove who can be more morally correct than the next guy on what they say, while meanwhile none of them is doing a blessed thing to act on what they're talking about. I mean, even if they're throwing some demonstration and don't show off their holy Levi's in some march on Washington or whatever, I mean, that's just a party anyway. They all get high and grass or whatever, go have a blast, chanting politically correct slogans and dancing in the streets. Well, meanwhile, I mean, they're probably still still pressing their girlfriend or castrating their boyfriend or whatever, or quibbling with whoever they might meet about whether the Soviets are really justified in being in Afghanistan, or whether the Palestinians should rise up in a bloody revolution, or whatever the topic of the week is, and absolutely despising anybody who doesn't agree with them on every stupid little point of the whole political program out there. I mean, I just don't get into discussions like that because it's only one more way people use to trap you into adopting one of the standard, boring, old competing ideologies and force you into some sort of pigeonhole that they can identify so that they can either accept you as being cool like them or else dismiss you as being reactionary or chauvinist or racist or whatever. I mean, even if the subject is totally out of the realm of their personal experience. I mean, if you're a middle-class white guy by birth and straight or whatever, I mean, you can never really be writing a book anyway, and if you come out with some admittedly ridiculous or controversial statement just for the hell of it, which you might in fact really mean anyway, but that's not the point. Like you might say, well, black women just taste better than white women, that's all. And of course, everyone is outraged and thinks you're some kind of bizarre racist and stereotyping a race, but after all, I never said that all black women taste the same or whatever. But anyway, that's not really the point. What I'm really trying to say is, you might be a guy who measures your taste of both black women and white women, and you simply have a preference for one over the other on the basis of what you've tasted, like you might have for chocolate over strawberry or vanilla or whatever. And then some also-righteous, politically correct person will condemn you and say that you're being reactionary or whatever. Well, my point is that, well, whereas likely they never tasted either one, if they did, they just expect who did happen to have the privilege of tasting both, and either they're trying to deny what the sense to tell them because they think it's not politically correct or something like that. Some women would never admit that they're turned on by Sylvester Stallone or I don't know, Richard Gere or whoever, even though they are, but they don't want to admit it because it would just be so unacceptable politically. See, that's what I'm talking about, how people sort of so numb and out of touch with their own experience, and they have no idea what's going on in the genitals, and I guess wouldn't even know if they did get sexually aroused by something unless it was something they read in Marx or whoever. I mean, like, I guess I despise Jennifer Beals or Madonna as much as anybody, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't admit that I like to make them. And, I'll admit it, even though it is reactionary, I'd be a liar if I said otherwise. And sex, after all, is not something which you should submit to the rule of law, because the orgasm, anyway, like Rex said, is a beautiful, magical thing, which can put you in touch with a higher realm of experience if you're ready, and never should be chained up with some restriction based on political correctness, any more than it should be by some stupid British Victorianism or fear of AIDS or whatever. I mean, death and sex are so similar in so many ways, they're both ultimate highs and culminating experiences. And I'm not saying that sex should lead to death, or that you shouldn't try to avoid AIDS, just like you try to avoid getting hit by a truck, when you go out into a street. But you shouldn't just stop enjoying sex anymore because of AIDS, any more than you should just quit trying to cross the street because you're afraid of trucks. Thanks.